Yeah, no, I'm glad to be a part. As someone who's, 20 years old, I'm about to enter into that, beginning stage of, I, this is a big job. This is a career. This is not like I worked at Buc-ee's and it was a great experience and I was a cashier for a couple months, but this is something I want to do and something I'm preparing for, I'm going to college for, and, means something to me. And as being a teacher to people even younger than me, that's kind of weird to say, because it's like they expect me to have some things together and to teach them and to lead them. And so it's like I'm now entering into that space of, what y'all were before when I was, a toddler. So walking around and, learning things. And so I'm learning things all the time, but I love sitting with people like y'all and just like hearing your thoughts, because I have a lot of the same similar thoughts, but y'all have a lot more experience. And so I just love to sit and listen. And it's fun to hear y'all ask me some things, because there's, I'm living in this generation of, this is like subs and streams, and like that's just my life. And so people donate subs and they make money just by playing video games.
Man, that's downright mindful.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I don't need backups. I'm going to Harvard.
Remember these words. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I still have a dream.
Welcome to Downright Mindful, a meeting place where we explore meaning, seek connections, and examine the relationships between people, events, and the ideas that shape our world. Hosted by me, Matt Paris, my friend and colleague Paul Sawsville, each episode will dive into thoughtful conversations that spark reflection and curiosity. Thanks for joining us. Now let's get right down to it. All right. We're good to go, brother. Take off.
All right. You going to talk into that microphone today? Or are you going to sit there in the shadows and just be still and silent? I'm glad to be a part. If you want to ask me some, if you want to ask me some questions and stuff,
up there.
like you want to ask me some questions or whatever. There it is. This is y'all's thing. I'm just glad to be.
You want to tell everybody whose voice they're hearing?
This is my eldest child, Seth, who has been mentioned a couple 6 times.
Yeah. Seth Sahls, well, glad you're here, man. Thanks for coming and hanging out.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah.
So I did give him the option. He could just sit and be still, or he could engage a little bit. So the way we'll do this is I'm just going to jump right in today.
Yeah?
I'm going to start just throwing some names at you.
Okay.
And if you've heard of a name, you'll go, yeah, I know that name. And then you'll tell me how you know that name. And if we get through all of these names and you've never heard of any of them, then I still got a direction. It doesn't all fall apart.
So you're telling me you're going to tell me a bunch of names I never have heard of?
It's possible.
Okay.
No, it's actually impossible, because you've heard some of these names for sure, 100%.
Okay.
And quite a few of them have been just mentioned within our conversations. So what I did, I got a list on my phone and my notes of just what I'm reading these days. And if it's got a check mark, it means I've finished it in the last, since Christmas, so the last 2-3 months. And then books that I'm reading. I've told you before, I've got books spread all throughout the house. I've got them in my backpack. I got them at school. So I could be in the middle of good 4, 5, 6 books at a time. Yeah. So I'm going to throw some names out, and then just the themes that they roll with. Just going to fire some stuff away. I think it'll just make for good conversation. So,
all right.
First name, Mort Sahl.
No.
What a great name. You ever heard that name before?
I'm not.
Great name. Rob Bell.
I've heard you say that name.
Yeah. Do you know that name at all? I mean, besides me just saying it, or in what context I said it?
Is this the guy that hangs out with Who's the comedian we talk about sometimes?
Pete Holmes.
You're a big fan of Pete Holmes. And he
Yeah,
hangs
they've
out
done
with
some
him.
shows together. Yep.
Yeah.
It's probably Pete Holmes hanging out with Rob Bell. That may have been how that went. I don't know how they would say that.
Okay.
But I knew Rob Bell before Pete Holmes. But yes. Okay. How about you?
Is Rob Bell also the guy that spent some time with like KD, like Kevin Durant? Or is that a
Doing
different
what?
guy?
I don't know.
No. Okay.
Someone that I've mentioned?
Yeah.
Coach Mo. Yeah, that
Okay.
goes a different
Yeah,
direction. That's
I got
athletes in action. Yeah.
I got you.
What do you know about Rob Bell?
Just from our conversations together.
Yeah.
None of the books that you've
Come up to the
recommended
mic
me.
there.
Oh, yeah.
There
My
you go.
bad.
Or you can pull it to
Yeah.
you, however you want to do it.
It's fine right here. Actually, I'll just leave it.
Okay.
It's good. But yeah, just our conversations that we've had.
And we'll just probably continue those conversations. Elizabeth Gilbert. You know that name?
No.
You know that name? Okay. Mitch Albom.
Nope.
No.
This is good. These are wins for me. It's okay. It means I'm just introducing new things.
All right.
All right. I think you pronounce it George Takei.
Taki?
Well, I mean that
Takei?
makes me think of Takis, and I don't know if it is. Maybe it is.
I have not heard of that name.
How about Star Trek?
I have heard of Star Trek.
Okay, so he is a character from Star Trek who, as a young child, was incarcerated by the U.S. government because he was of Japanese ancestry.
Huh.
Yeah. Born and raised here in the States, but would spend time in an internment camp during World War II. So that's kind of a direction we'll go with who that fella is and who he becomes.
Okay.
Star Trek? Star Wars, yes.
Star Wars.
You ever watch any Star Trek?
No.
No, none at all.
None of them.
Okay. Parker Palmer.
I don't. It's one of those names that like rings a bell, but I don't know why.
Because I've said his name
Okay.
probably 18 times in the months that we've been. How long have we been doing this? How far does this go back?
What, October?
Is it October? Right before basketball started, maybe?
I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
Parker Palmer, you recognize that name?
No.
Frederick Buechner. It's a fun name to say.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
How do you know that name?
I don't know.
It's because I've said his name before.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But, I mean, you may know him in some other context when I bring it up. How about you? All right. Jesus.
Jesus, as in the
like
yeah.
of Nazareth.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay.
I've heard of him.
Because I'm reading some red letters these days, and I've got this chronological Bible that like smashes the Gospels into like one narrative, and you kind of get to follow along, you know. So these synoptic Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they track pretty well together, and then John will throw you some stories, and it's like, where in the world did that just come from? Well, this scholar kind of brings all this together and brings John's narrative in there as well. So you're getting them as close to chronological as you possibly can put that together.
Okay.
So we'll return back to that. Jesus over here.
Yeah.
All right, just checking.
Know a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Jerry Seinfeld?
Yeah, I know that name.
You have any relationship with that guy?
Not really.
You never watched that show?
I mean, yeah, I've watched it a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm not like a big Seinfeld guy
Yeah.
by any means.
I never have been either until the last about year and a half, 2 years maybe. Stand-up comedy has become a big deal in my life.
Yeah, I've watched some comedians in cars getting coffee. We've talked about that before.
Yeah. Oh, every episode of that. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But that was just as much about who he was riding with than even him. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. Well, you know about that guy.
The Barry B. Benson from the B movie.
Yeah.
That's the first time I ever heard of who Jerry Seinfeld was.
That's right. That's
So when I heard his voice as like a real life person, I'm like, that's the guy from the B movie. So that's the only piece
That's
of
the
him I
younger
got.
generation talking right there. That's
Awesome.
right.
That's
Love
awesome.
that movie. That even came up in class this week, so still totally relevant. Okay. How about watching some episodes with Nana and Papaw? They love some Seinfeld.
Yeah.
You ever been
That
in
was
that
that
moment?
was the first time I made that connection between the two.
That's
Was,
right.
Hey, I know that voice.
Okay. Yeah, old Nana and Papaw, that's Atlanta Visits. And there's certain things that, I mean, like, there's only a handful of shows that they actually watch. And that's what else have you watched with them?
Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And some Boston Celtics basketball. That's the big three right there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Black and white and color, Andy Griffith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then last name on my list, Richard Rohr.
No.
You know the name?
Yes, only from you.
Okay, so we've had some conversation. So here as let me go back through this list one more time and just give you a preview. When I'm reading Mort Sahl, the book I'm reading, it's a biography on him, and it's called Last Man Standing. And can either one of y'all, Matt, you start this stand-up comedy? Do you know any comedians? Do you like any comedians? Who do you know? Who do you like?
I mean, most recently, Nate Bargatze's. I like that guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
He's some observational comedy, much like Seinfeld, but he's just a little different pace. He's got like a dry sense of humor. I like that guy. We've talked.
You've seen that guy live, yeah?
Yeah. I got to see him live in Chattanooga one time. We've talked over and over about Dave Chappelle. I think Dave Chappelle is he's great, man. He's
master
an artist,
storyteller.
Master storyteller. There's such a bigger picture going on than just him telling some funny jokes. I like those two guys for sure. Some of the first stand-up comedy memories I have is like the old what's the video that Bill Cosby did like 100 years ago? You familiar with what I'm talking about?
I know he had some vinyl records. But I don't know, a video off the top of my head.
He had a really famous special that and there's nowhere to stream it back then. You either rent it or you own it or whatever.
Or HBO maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But he was this special, I guess why I remember it so early is because it was probably clean enough for me to watch at the time. And Eddie Murphy, who had a special out then, and people like Richard Pryor, who had done special after special.
Your mama letting you listen to those
Absolutely.
two guys?
Let me finish my sentence, and I was about to make the point that those people are even before this Bill Cosby special, but I didn't have any access, nor did I even know of those people. But Bill Cosby is one of the first ones that I was actually allowed to watch.
So there's a Bill Cosby himself. That's what it's actually called.
Is there like a red background? Maybe like a red curtain behind him or something?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
But he was such a big deal.
Yeah,
growing up,
sure.
The Cosby Show, such a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because, like, the Bob Saget's of the world that from, like, sitcoms. But, like, you get these guys on stage, and he turns into this whole other person.
Yeah, I mean, he like, created some identity issues for me, man. Like, I only knew him as Danny Tanner from the Full House, and he was this wholesome dad who just taught all these beautiful life lessons. And then the first time I was like, oh, he does stand up, and I go to listen to some of it, and I was like, oh no, this ain't Danny Tanner. It was way too crude for my taste.
Yeah. That's fine. Anybody else you can think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, Norm Macdonald.
Yeah,
he's another one of those big picture artist kind of guy. He had, the guts on this guy. I mean, he did these comedy roast sessions that they do. Mm-hmm. He did one of those, and he wrote it, and he tried to write all jokes that would completely bomb. And he wanted to see how bad of jokes he could tell and just stand up there and just take it in. And the reverse of that became funny. Like when you realize what he's doing, now it becomes funny.
Yeah, but when you're in the crowd in that live audience and he has not told you what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
How long does it take to figure out what this dude is doing and who he is?
It was some of the worst jokes you've ever heard. Like just like an 8-year-old wrote these jokes, and he would tell them, and then he would just smile and stare at the crowd in the most awkward silence. And
can you call that courage? Can you call that genius? I mean, like, can we go there,
both,
is that just awkward?
I've heard multiple comics talk. I've listened to hours and hours and hours of Conan O'Brien, so I'll mention him as well. Even though he's known probably more for his writing than his stand-up, but He is a stand-up comedian. He talks all the time, and he's interviewed several others that I've heard, and some of them kind of need that to create a dynamic in their show. They want to dig themselves a hole with the audience and see if they can get their way back out of it. And it's super interesting for me to hear.
You have to be wired in such a way to be able to even
and the skills
dare to do
you
it.
have to have.
Yeah,
it's far beyond you're just funny.
Yeah.
This is an element of storytelling that's just it's on a different level.
Yeah. So do you like the quirky?
Anybody,
because Norm's quirky, Nate Bargatze. I mean, like that's
anybody that it's more than just I'm gonna get up here and see how much I can make these people laugh. Which I know that's sort of the overarching theme of it. But anytime there's an artistic process to it that requires some understanding, there's some levels to it. Yeah, I'm attracted to it for sure.
How about the physical comedy of like a Chris Farley?
Love it. I do.
Because that's a whole different direction.
Yeah, I need a Will Ferrell. I need to see him in motion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stand up alone, I don't know how much I would require that or how much I could enjoy it or how long I could live in that space, because it's at some point, falling and breaking a table it's not funny anymore, and I need there to be a little more substance to it for my taste. But
who else you got before I hand it over to the young fella?
Oh man, I mean, I could just name comedians all day. I could
do two more.
Cat Williams is he's showing a little more and more, especially in the media lately, that there's just more to that guy than borderline racist jokes and just crude humor. There's more going on in his process, and he's a studied guy. He's a pretty smart dude who has played a character before for us for years. That takes a little while to, for you to come to the understanding that this is a character and there's really a human here. That
I've heard a lot of comics talk about that idea that there really are. I mean, that's their stage, and this is their character, and this is not who I am in real life. But I can go to this place, and it's almost like a release, if you will. Yeah.
Jeff Foxworthy, man, he's.
I thought you might have mentioned Foxworthy a little bit higher up on this list.
Well,
but,
the further we get into this, the more I think of, and the more I realize that I could probably just keep naming people. Yeah. But Foxworthy he's another one of those. This is a guy who, I guess he really becomes famous for You Might Be a Redneck. Mm-hmm. And I heard him tell a story on a podcast the other day that he told a couple of these jokes on stage, just as part of, he was telling stories, and he had some what he would describe as rednecks in his families, and it sort of happenstance. He says, like, you might be a redneck if you have a Mustang in your yard up on blocks, or some joke like that. And he said it got such a laugh that he went home and wrote like 300, like in one night. And the more I hear him talk, the more I realize. You ever heard? Let's see, Something Relative. There's a board game now. Something Relative is the name of it. It's a really popular board game, and you get a punchline. You get a card that's got a punchline on it, and someone else will get a card that has a setup on it. So you all take turns, and you go around the circle, and you say something like, Grandpa leaned up over to me at the wedding and said, and everybody around the table now has to look through their punchlines, and whoever has the funniest punchline to fit that statement gets the turn or gets the points or what. You know what I'm talking about at all?
I've never heard this in my life, but it sounds fun. You ever heard of this before?
Is it like an Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity, like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, kind of like that. And it came from, Jeff Foxworthy wrote this game, okay? And here's what happened. They're at a family get-together, and some of the teenagers in his family, he said they started playing Cards Against Humanity, like right in front of the grandparents and everybody. And he was like, y'all can't do that. Y'all got to go find a basement or somewhere. But he said he went home that night and wrote like 500 punchlines. Like, this guy's a machine when it comes to just putting together a joke.
they work.
Yeah, he's a machine. But
Relative insanity.
Relative insanity.
There you go.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. But he wrote it all because Cards Against Humanity was a little too dirty for the family. And anyways, I said that to make the point that this guy, it's more than just he was a class clown or he was a funny guy. Oftentimes you'll find that some of the best of these guys were not class clowns and weren't considered the funniest in their circle. But Jeff Foxworthy, he's an OG for me, man. He's like legit artist.
Yeah. You said artist. We can call comics artists.
If they're not artists, I'm not real interested.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But you, young fella?
Well, as far as stand-up comedy goes, I wasn't real much into it until you took a huge liking to it, and we watched Dave Chappelle, like, on his Netflix series.
Yeah.
Watched, like, 3
Yeah,
shows
they just
of
kept
his.
coming. Just kept coming. Yeah.
And, I mean, he's used as as like the template of stand-up comedy. So starting with that was pretty cool because I'm a big I love storytelling, and the way he can start an hour-long special with, you know, some kind of joke and then tie the entire thing of what he just went through at the very, very end.
Yeah.
Is just like, I don't know how you can even remember something like that at the very beginning. So
He started that one with a Prince lyric.
Yes.
And then brings it all the way full circle back. That was wild.
Yeah. And it's not like he's using his index card in a public speaking class. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's no cue cards. There's nothing, man. There's nothing. And to do that for an hour, yeah. And then do it again, and then do it again.
Yeah.
I did open my young son to all kinds of new things, introducing him to Dave Chappelle first.
Yeah. And I mean,
I guess it could have been Jeff Foxworthy first, but you know, let's just go with Dave Chappelle right off the bat.
Yeah.
All right, who else you got?
Well, because Nate Bargatze, he's a really good one. That's more, you know, Dave Chappelle is like...
That's when we're on road trips and we're listening in the van.
Yeah, everybody can laugh because, you know,
everybody
it's more, you know, but he's like, he can still be funny without the raunchy, without, you know, all that. It's a different style, but it can still be funny. And I find that really cool as well. That, like, that's a skill set in of itself.
Yeah, that's one thing that attracted that to me is I can listen to this with my dad or my mom or my sisters or the kids in the, you know.
Yeah.
He's just a pretty clean guy, but you don't realize it. It's not like he's that clean comedian that's not funny now because he's so clean.
Yeah.
He does a pretty good job.
Yep.
And then Shane Gillis is my last one. Just how
You know this guy?
absurd and like, you know, he makes fun of himself. He brings in, you know, his life experiences. It's just, I mean, it was another Netflix special that I watch at like 3 a.m. and I just die laughing.
That's the best.
Yeah.
After midnight, watching. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Shane Gillis is kind of, you know, society didn't know how to take this guy. This is the guy that gets kicked off Saturday Night Live, right? They don't know how to take this guy. And the more we get to know him, the more he's kind of carved out this place where he can kind of say some things now and get away with it because we understand. He can talk about Down syndrome because of the perspective that he has and the people that are around him and how much respect he has for that community.
When you're authentic, I think you can get away with some stuff.
He's all, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're not just trying to get a laugh or not just trying to get someone to, you know, repost something, but like you're actually telling something that is real to you. Yeah.
Yep. Theo Vaughn is kind of in
Theo
that.
Vaughn.
I was leaning his way. I was like, you're not going to throw that fella's name out there?
I see him more of like in a podcast. So like his podcast, I listen, you know, he has some good stuff. He brings people on. It's comedic as well. But like the stand-up, I think I've seen one thing of his, but...
I saw a stand-up special of his and didn't enjoy it very much at all.
It was kind of different from his sit-downs and interviews and stuff. I mean, he interviewed Donald Trump. I mean, you know, it's like, it's crazy you can pull stuff like that off, but I like him a lot.
And a story like his, I mean, just reach back 5 years, let alone 15. And now he's sitting with Donald J. Trump and he gets to like ask questions and like
for sure.
gets to navigate that conversation. I mean, like these stories of these guys and these women that get to this place, I mean, I find it absolutely fascinating. So, for y'all, how about the Jon Stewarts of the world or the John Olivers of the world or the Stephen Colberts of the world or, you know, late night guys have jumped in to like this political element, to really giving commentary on society. Seth Meyers, I mean, Jimmy Fallon, I mean, they're all in seemingly on this. Are y'all listening to those guys as well?
Man, I don't know why Seth Meyers just jumped out to my ears, and now I've forgotten all the other names you said. You said Stephen Colbert.
Mm-hmm.
I love Stephen Colbert.
John Oliver, Jon Stewart.
I know Jon Stewart. I don't know who's John Oliver.
So he was on The Daily Show for a while, but he has his own HBO. He does Last Week Tonight, and he just does a 1 hour once a week commentary on HBO. And I mean, he as a comedian, he does a deep dive into some issue, and he'll take that issue and he'll lay out all these facts, and then he'll just keep putting Goofy right in the middle of it. Because I mean, it sounds silly, but we went here this week in class of just the power of retaining information within the brain when humor is involved. And this guy has mastered that craft of, hey, I want to give you something to consider, and I want to make sure that you're laughing in these intervals, because I want this information to truly be considered by the mass of people who now call themselves, you can call yourself a fan, you can call yourself a follower, but, you know, you're a fellow citizen. This is a British guy who, you know, has dual citizenship. He's made this his home. Mm-hmm. But his social commentary is just, it's absolutely amazing. And the reason why I bring this last setup is because I'm reading this Mort Sahl book, and he is kind of post-World War II, 50s, 60s. He's the guy that is getting up on stage and not just trying to get laughs. He's trying to get people to think. And he's kind of that first of the Dave Chappelles, you know, and you can go back and back and back, you know, and what was Steve Martin doing with his comedy? Is he just trying to get a laugh? What's Eddie Murphy doing? Is he just trying to get you to be shocked, you know? But this line of comedy where you're thinking, you're feeling, you know, you're elbowing somebody next to you going, are you getting this? Or, you know, this is not only funny, but this is something more. It's the kind of comedy that you're not just repeating jokes, but like you're really contemplating something, maybe within a community of some sort, that it now matters what these guys are saying because their social commentary really is that competent. Mort Sahl, he's that guy. So I'm not real deep into this book, but I find it absolutely fascinating because for every, you know, thematic, you know, anything, any innovation, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, any iteration of what comedy has become, there's got to be a genesis to that. There's got to be someone at the beginning or near the beginning. And Mort Sahl is that guy kind of taking on the U.S. government of the time and asking all the questions that, you know, a lot of people aren't asking in public for fear of any reprisal or whatever. And he had what did we say about Chappelle earlier? You know, just the courage and the creativity or whatever, or whoever we were talking about at the beginning. But like Mort Sahl fits that. And I find that fascinating. I find those figures fascinating.
Yeah. I think it was Norm Macdonald we were talking about, courage and creativity.
Yeah.
Seth Meyers, what do you say about a guy who's, because I was a huge fan. I think he's an artist, man. He's legit, but I can't find any content from him over the last 5 to 7 years that's not like just Trump bashing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's kind of carved his niche, and that's what he does now. Mm-hmm. And it's just like I listened to it for a little while because you know me. Even if I agree or I don't agree with you, I can live in that. You say something funny, I'm in.
Yeah.
But gosh, it just wore me down.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
Now when I see him, I'll just go away from him. And not because I'm a Trump guy. You know me. I'm not like Trump, nothing like that. You've been talking about the same thing for like 7 years. Talk about something else.
Well, I think these fellas are going to keep talking about it for another, 3 years and 10 months.
Yeah.
And like but that's Stephen Colbert. That's what he's doing. Who's the other Jimmy I haven't mentioned yet? Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, like their monologues are there.
I love Fallon, man.
They're going to take aim at that fella. You know, and they did it while he was president the first time. Shoot, they did it before he was even president in 16.
Yeah, that's your job, is to take aim at the fella.
Yeah.
But like, as part of what you do,
Yeah.
turn on Seth Meyers and watch him for a while. He don't
Yeah.
talk about anything else. That's all he talks about. His entire monologue is Donald Trump, and has been for, I guess, approaching 6 or 8 years now. Again, I'm not mad at you because you feel that way, but give me
more.
Give me the Seth Meyers that I turned you on for.
Yeah.
Because you would diversify your humor and was talking about all kind of things and finding just the funniest little vein in everything. Because he's like, I respect his ability.
Yeah.
It's legit. Jimmy Fallon, he does a great Trump impression and bashes him from time to time, and I love it. I want to see it.
But then he's going to bring some celebrity on, and they're going to like sing and dance and like shoot basketball or something, you know?
Yeah, and he's going to talk about something else. You know, it just...
yeah, I get it. Are you watching any late night or seeing any of that on YouTube? Or
Usually if
any of
their
those names?
guest goes viral or something, it's just clips here and there,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
I haven't sat down.
How old are you?
21.
Yeah, okay, that made sense.
I was a Leno fan. Yeah. 21.
I don't know. When was the last time you watched TV that wasn't sports? Just TV. I'm going to change the channel to this TV station.
I mean, it's probably just watching whatever y'all had on TV when I was like 7.
Yeah.
So.
Do you watch TV anymore? Just TV, just like click through.
Not really.
Do you know? You're just streaming stuff?
Yeah. I've watched a lot more YouTube lately than what I used to. If I want to go watch a movie or something, or if we're watching a series, we'll stream that. But
No TV, huh?
no, the only time my actual TV is on is like, you know, just a low hum in the corner of the room at night, or, you know, Friends is on over in the corner. It's just noise. It's not loud noise. It's just on. We have this, if Valerie and I come home and it's a pretty normal evening, which we don't have super often anymore at certain seasons, but soon it will be. For whatever reason, we'll get our dinner or whatever we're eating for the night, and she'll turn on like diners, drive-ins, and dives. Not to really watch it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's just something on.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, not really. I do not watch the news. Absolutely not watch.
Not
the
even
news.
like the local news?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I was a lot less happy of an individual when I let that regularly be part of my day.
How long ago was that? Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago? And why? Why were you watching so much news?
That's just what you do. It's part of my culture. When you come home in the evening, you catch the news so you know what to wear in the morning and what happened, a little bit about what happened throughout the day and what the weather's going to be. And it was just part of a routine.
Yeah.
And it's not like now my granddad would be like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. And you turn the news on. But that's not the way it was here. Sometimes it was just on. And I just didn't like it. And probably when Kyler was, I don't know, we're coming close to 20 years because he was just a little boy when I was invited or challenged by a friend to like, hey, turn that crap off. And I did it. And I made a note, not a physical note, but I took notice of just, man, it's just a lot happier time when I'm not feeding that crap into my eyes and my ears and into my soul.
So how are things different now that you like are on social media or you are on YouTube? Do you feel like you have more control over the content that you are putting inside of you? Because it's still a lot of noise. You know, sometimes that invitation of turn it off literally is to, hey, you know, our minds and our souls need to get quiet. Shoot, I think even sometimes our just physical body needs to just soak in the silence. I think that's a healthy activity. But you do live in a, you know, you're saturated with social media and you have lots of choices. How does that affect you today?
I'm pretty savvy now. Let me back up, because if I was savvy about social media algorithms, my all of my social media accounts will be quite different. But I'm at least aware of if I'm interacting with certain types of stories, I'm going to see more and more and more of those stories. And I've found controls on most of the social media outlets that I use, like Instagram, for instance. If there's something on there and I realize, because with me, it's like police videos that, you know, the headline will be police officer fired after the, you know, he was never fired. It's just somebody got told by the police what they have to do on a traffic stop and they didn't like it or whatever. It'll be those videos because I'll often like pause on those videos and watch and just see the interaction. Well, because of that, now I'm going to start seeing more and more.
Yeah.
So every now and then I have to realize I hate these videos. So I'll long press on that thing and hit not interested, not interested, not interested. And that'll kind of whip my algorithm back into shape. You know what I mean?
I do.
But then there are times, Facebook, gosh, man, Facebook's bad. And it's not because it's feeding you certain types of videos or whatever. But what it is feeding you is like the highlights of your friends' lives. You know what I mean? So there can be this.
I look over Sarah's shoulder for that. Yeah.
If you just doom scroll on Facebook, you got to be careful because you'll be like, God, I'm the most boring human, and everybody around me is living this magnificent life, and it's just not true. It's just not true.
Yeah, it looks true though. It looks true.
No, it's all about perception, man. It's kind of like, you know, the same people that are living these lavish lives on Facebook are the ones that are like holding hands in public, but then they go like fist fight at home. Like they're lying to themselves and they're lying to everybody around them.
Fake Famous. It was a documentary. Did you ever see that? Ever heard of it?
No.
Did you watch that with us? We had it on. It's just, so this producer wanted to see if, and they had tryouts. 100 people came. They picked 3 people. Let's see if we can get them famous. Let's see if we can get them followers.
Yeah.
And so you track with them for about 80 minutes. And they start buying followers, which is a thing. Now my students are surprised by this when I brought this, like, did you know that you can buy followers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you knew that and you knew that. But like 2 years ago when this documentary came out, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so one of the 3, like people start following because she has been bought followers, but now like, hey, we see you, you're traveling, you're influencing. So now she's getting all kinds of, like free stuff. You know how this works, right? But I mean, my mind was just blown. But when it showed that they're in the backyard in a kiddie pool and they're angling the camera in such a fashion to where it looks like she's at the spa, and then they post it with that, 8 words that grabs your attention so you can do this and see her there.
Yeah.
Or there's a place in LA that you can rent out that looks like the cabin of a private jet, and you can take pictures there and you can post it. And I'm just like, oh my word, come on. But it really is the world that we live in. And there are people that set it up that way. And then we were watching student news this week, and like, did y'all hear that North Korea has opened up one city to where tourists can come in?
No.
And anybody in the world can come except from what 2 countries?
United States.
Yep. And? The most people who are coming are from China and
Russia.
from Russia. So no, they're allowed in.
United States and England.
It's super obvious if you really think about it.
South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so anybody in the world can come and visit this one North Korean city. So a bunch of influencers are trying to be the first to get in there because, I mean, really no one's really seen North Korea in quite some time. And it's been kind of funny, but it's also the world that we live in where I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make my video, people are going to see it, and I'm going to get more followers, and I'm going to get all kinds of likes. And I mean, what would Mort Sahl do with that? Well, it's the same thing that the best minds that we have right now are getting up on stage and going, hey, this is the world we live in. This is how I get paid. Really, this is how I get paid. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, man, this is how I get paid. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's wild. You know, you paid any attention to Mr. Beast?
Yes.
You know this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know this guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How much have you heard this guy talk just kind of out of character? Just talk like on a podcast or anything?
Not very
Not
much.
much either.
He's a pretty fascinating guy. He's probably, I'd have to fact check myself on this, but he's probably the most successful YouTuber of all time.
Oh, he is.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, he is,
that part I know, but I don't know him out of character like what you're saying.
Well, what people want to know from him is like, hey, what did you figure out? And as he sort of explains his process and his way of thinking, it's a breath of fresh air for me because it sounds so traditional. Because it boils down to like hundreds and thousands of hours of studying and research and trial and error and just investment. When he first monetized his YouTube channel, he was living with his mom and eating like ramen noodles. And he'd make a check for like $13,000 and take $13,000 and invest it in his next videos and continue to eat ramen noodles. But he learned how to, and he tells the story of how he chooses, because his titles and his, SEO, the stuff that's searchable on his videos is super unique, and he's got it down to a craft. But what he does is he says, I want to tell you what's going to happen in the video, and I'm going to set an expectation that's great. You're going to have an expectation of my video that's like, oh my word, I got to see this. And he said, then when I get you in the video, I'm going to exceed those expectations. And it's just to hear him talk about those things, it's like, God, man, because you know, sometimes I get scared of like, this world is running off and leaving people and it's not the place we used to live in, which is kind of true. But the most successful people, when they talk, it sounds like Kobe Bryant talking about basketball. It's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No one who is successful on any of these platforms, it's none of it is accidental.
Accidental, no.
Not one bit of it, you know. It's all the folks who are trying to emulate that.
Yeah.
That is not authentic, you know, I think is where we kind of run into. And that's the generation that we teach and are trying to get through to. And like, hey, you're on your phone right now in the middle of class. Like, I'll do this. What are you looking at? No, you're not in trouble right now. Like, my curiosity is piqued right now because I want to know. And I bet whatever you're looking at in some sort of way is connected to some current event. And every current event is connected to some historical event. And I bet we can make this connection. I'll do that every once in a while. Yeah. You know? And usually it's, I'm texting my mom. Oh, my word, whatever. You know, like 90% is like, I'm texting my mom. No, you're not. I looked over your shoulder on my second pass. You know, tell me what game you're playing right now. Who else is playing this game? And like all kinds of hands will go up, you know, whether they're playing it in class or not in class. But it's like we are so much more connected than we think we are, even though we go hide in the virtual world, which a lot of our kids, like they're willing to admit, yes, if I don't want to be around the people that I'm with in this space right now, I'll go to my phone to escape. Yeah. Yeah, which is, and that's a thing. But at the same time, if we opened up and started sharing like, hey, look what's on my screen. Hey, look what's on my screen. Like for a lot of that, there's a lot of similarities. We're more similar than we are different, even though we may use this as some sort of escapism. You know, and I just love just taking a pause and going, hey, wait a minute. Let's just think about what the content is and how we might still be connected. And sometimes we're not. You know, maybe you're watching something, looking at something, you care deeply about something that I can't even relate to. Yeah. But that's kind of cool too. It can be if we're like open enough to kind of share those pursuits of ours. And, you know, I mean, I try to do that. In class, I don't give a hard time about phones until that kid just becomes like a rebel about it. Hey, that's your property. Just put it on my desk. You can have it at the end of class. That's fine. But I try to utilize, you know, either our phones, hey, look that up for me, or I really want to know what content, you know, you're viewing, you're listening to. What are you pursuing? And for some of them, like, what are you making? Like, I know you're trying. I know you got like 18 followers, and it's exciting to get your 19th follower, but like, what's your ambitions? You know, because it gives us kind of an insight not only into we no longer teach the generation that wants to be doctors and lawyers and, you know, they want to be a social media influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of crazy, huh?
It is wild.
Yeah.
You know what intrigues me about all that? They're all playing this game right now. It's like they bust these blocks. You know what game I'm talking about? It's just some free little game. If I knew the name of it, maybe you'd know it. But it seems like every year it's a different game, but everybody's playing that game. It's amazing.
You ain't playing nothing right now?
Like, I mean, I'm still playing Clash Royale from 6th grade.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But are you talking about like a Candy Crush type of game?
It's
like,
very much less than Candy Crush. But it kind of puts you in that mind. But it's almost as simple as...
it's like a Tetris type of game.
Kind of, yeah.
Because I'm looking over some shoulders.
Yeah. You're looking over the... that's the game you're seeing.
Yeah. What is that called?
Everybody's playing it. Man, I wish I knew.
Well, the three of us ain't playing it because we don't even know what it's called.
No, I'm not playing it. I don't play much anymore. I used to play. I still have a Clash Royale account and Clash of Clans. I still got those. Yeah, it's kind of like Tetris.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. That reminds me of what is it? Roblox? Isn't that what everybody was playing for a while? Years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, now it's just.
Isn't there like a bunch of games on Roblox?
It's like its own, like it has its own store. So like it has its own games. They're just specifically, and it's a lot of like they rip off new games and they put it as like block people. And so you can play these games that are like $70, but you can play it as block people.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my friends play. I mean, it's hilarious. Like Squid Games. There's Squid Game Roblox. So you play.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
How does that happen though?
I guess hold on. We're on something.
Yeah.
We're on something.
Okay.
Did you hit?
Oh, we've been recording for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you being serious?
Hey, me and Seth got this, man.
Okay,
we got this.
Keep going then. Keep going. Okay, I'm interested to see at the 44-minute mark how you're going to make this happen. Okay, all right, keep going.
Notice.
No, but I mean, yeah, I don't know how the process between they take it and like these software engineers or something, they design these games, but it's like they change some of the titles so it's not like copyrighted. So there's like different games. So instead of saying it's a squid game, it's called shrimp games. So it's literally just the exact same thing, but they just put a different name on it.
What I'm saying is, is it social media that the way that this new Tetris-like game where they're busting blocks pops up and now, 500 people in a 1,000-person school are playing this game? Is that because of social media?
Yes, I would say at least from the younger generation, if a really popular person that already has a huge following, if they start doing something, all these other people are going to join in. So maybe it's not like, oh, Tetris is everywhere and people are playing it. It's like, hey, this guy that has millions of followers just started playing, this game or just started doing this activity. It's like,
who are those people, or who are those people at least for you?
I mean, a lot of them are streamers. So streamers have a really big following just because people can sit there and, you can interact with these people as well as they play their games. Yeah. So I'm a gamer. So a lot of the stuff is like stuff I want to see. So there's a big guy. His name's Queso. He's a real funny guy. It's like.
That's Kevin Hart's friend?
No, this dude's like 24.
How'd you pull that out? What is?
Who's Kevin Hart's buddy? You know who I'm talking about? Kai?
Oh, Kai Cenat? Yeah, that's another one. He has, I mean...
I thought you were talking about like LeBron James.
These guys go live on... these guys go live on what, Twitch?
Mm-hmm. Twitch, YouTube.
Millions of young people around the world tune in and just watch them. They're just in a room like that. It's bigger than this, but they're just being goofballs.
Kevin Hart, his house is bigger than yours?
This isn't Kevin Hart's house. This is Kai's house, but if he don't have more money than Kevin Hart now, he probably will soon. I mean, he's that big of a... Yeah. He's got that many people.
Man, I'm getting an education today.
He'll decorate his entire room with the theme of whatever he's doing. So if he's playing a video game, he will dress up as the character and like build castles and knights and props and stuff in his room and stream for 24 hours.
That's what you need to start doing.
Absolutely not. No, I'm not. I have no interest in streaming and playing a video. I'm not good at video games. Like I don't.
Oh, a lot of these dudes aren't. but they're just funny, and they, you know,
I'm also
they're
not that funny.
Yeah.
I'm also a pretty boring personality at times, you know.
We can write a script, man. We can be the Norm Macdonald of, you know, playing video games online. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Nah, I mean,
That was a bad idea. I just had one.
It's not a bad. I mean, there's
All right. Well, then I want to see you dressed up next time. I
There's
want to see
whole
this room
communities.
totally just decorated in the theme of whatever you're driving for that podcast.
the guy that I just told you about that's my TV now.
Yeah.
He it's a role play server on the premise of GTA. So you go in and it's like you're in the GTA world, but everybody you encounter is another person like you that's just sitting in their room, but you have to, it's a role play server. You have to act like it's, like if someone points a gun at you, you have to fear for your life. You can't just shoot them. You know, this isn't GTA Online where they're just acting crazy. But with that, they plan scenes. Like when a police officer pulls you over, it's a lot of fun for them if you play it out like it's a real traffic stop and at some point take off running. Now they get to chase you and they get to call in backup and somebody shows up in a helicopter and they spike strip you down the interstate. It's just...
Okay, so Free Guy, right? Came out a couple years ago. And Ready Player One.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is that. This is kind of that. You know what I'm saying? We are getting ever closer to Ready Player One for those out there reading it right now and watching the movie at the exact same time. Matt and I had that conversation.
Reading in
Ready Player One. Did you watch that movie? Mm-hmm. Did you read the book, though?
No.
Okay, so I'm just speaking to all the people on the planet that have read that book.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
I'm on chapter 12.
And you started the first hour of the movie.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I think I can do this.
Okay.
Now, I have paused the movie and I didn't go back to it because the book is so much more. It's just,
It is. That's what I tried to tell you.
I'm listening to the book.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, all right with that.
But my brain's doing all the same things as it would be if I was reading it.
That's right.
Except
Sure.
now I
I'm
have
okay with that.
a voice actor that's speaking with the right
That sounds fun.
inflection.
Sure.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, when Anorak talks, he talks in the voice of an old wizard. And when
Oh, that is cool.
when
Are you an Audible? Is that where you got
Audible,
that?
yeah, it's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I'm enamored with it.
Yeah.
All
There's
the-
only so much Steven Spielberg, as amazing as Steven Spielberg is, that he can do with Ready Player One. He does make the book come alive, but there's just some elements that just don't make it. Mm-hmm. And those elements are, I think, some of the ones that have captivated me the most by what the future holds for us. And as we've just described what goes on in the virtual world and how we can connect with real humans in real time doing things that aren't real.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, for better or for worse, for good or bad, right or wrong, I don't care how you label it. It's just, it seems inevitable how technology is driving society into such a certain way that is just so mysterious. I don't know, like, can't even tell how it's going to work out. But there seems to be minds out there already, prophets in our own time, that are saying this or that. I mean, I don't even know what they're saying. That's what I think so.
Tony Messer was a K-9 officer in South Charleston, West Virginia. Been there 8 years, young up-and-comer. He's a star at the police department. But he also has a personality, and he starts streaming when he plays video games. And he now is no longer a police officer.
That's what I'm talking about.
And makes every night, you can tune in there tonight at 6:30. He'll fire it up, and he'll have about 5,000 people watching him on Twitch, and on his TikTok account, he'll have about 1,500 to 2,000 on there. And he'll receive somewhere around 1,000 gifted subscriptions. Each stream, he streams 6 days a week. Each subscription $7.99, and he keeps somewhere around 50% of that.
Seth's just nodding his head.
Yeah.
It's
Because that's the
crazy.
world he is growing up in, being raised in, and he's becoming an adult in. And he's going to have to navigate a world that for you and I just seems like still a fantasy world. But it is just, it's his reality.
Yeah.
For better
Sure.
or for worse, or maybe for better and worse. I mean, because isn't that what life sounds like?
Yeah.
So watch this. Oh my word. That was, I ran through all those names.
Did we totally
and
hijack
we planned it on, what? No, that's not hijacking. This is it. That just leaves more material for me at another time because this was supposed to be the, hey, just fun. And it was. Mm-hmm. But like, I wanted to combine a little Frederick Buechner and a little Richard Rohr. And, I mean, we were going to wade out into the deep. And I guess we'll just do that on another time. So I've got plenty of content stored away for, and this is just, and again, whenever we speak into the microphone and say, hey, you folks that are listening to us, like, what are you reading? Fascinated by it. You just had a conversation with Don, just about the podcast and just talking about things.
Yeah.
Loving crashing into people and going, hey, so not just what you think of the podcast, but hey, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What's that music that moves you? And we're having like real conversations with folks.
Yeah.
And I love bringing that back into our space. And that's kind of what we're going to continue to do. So I'll just save this list and we'll bring it up again.
Shout out Don Patterson. Glad you're listening to us, man.
For sure.
Glad you are. You and the Chandler gonna build you a studio, start you a podcast, give us something to listen to.
Hey, that I would 100%. The conversations I have with them is similar to this, and
yeah,
I know he brings a lot of wisdom and it can be fun and it can be deep as well. So
I'd listen.
He listens.
I would listen for sure, man. I would listen for sure. I shared we were talking about this world and how it changes, and I'm gonna try to wrap this up. I know you got some things you got to do, but I was talking to some kids. These are criminal justice kids. They want to go and be the police and investigators and forensics and all these things. But I find myself as someone, a little further down the road than them, having to tell them, like, get some skills that will take you somewhere, no matter what you do. Build some skills with some things that'll help you in a social media world, or in a world where you may have to do Zoom calls with people around the country or around the world even. People, every police department in America right now is looking for some young person that can operate a drone. They can run a social media account. They have some photography skills. They have verbal communication skills. They can step in front of a news camera and give an account of what has happened. And these people also have to have police skill. They have to be so skilled in this world. And those technological skills, man, are a big deal. So figure out a way. I'm trying to figure out a way. Like we're learning every day. We're learning new stuff. So
yeah. And I'm not scared of the future, man. I'm not that guy.
I'm not either.
I'm not that guy going, man, I'm so worried about my kids. Maybe that's who I'll be as a grandparent, but it's not who I am as a parent.
Yeah.
Nor as just a man in this generation. I want to continue to learn, and I want to have a community that I'm engaged with that's also learning. So this is part of it. Yeah, I love it. I love what you've created for us, and I love what Josh Morris at the very beginning. I mean, he got us going, didn't he?
The invitation. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It was a big deal.
Yep.
It was a big deal. Seth, you want to leave us with any words of wisdom or an update on what you're up to or anything like that? I'm glad you came.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to be a part. As someone who's, 20 years old, I'm about to enter into that, beginning stage of this is a big job. This is a career. This is not like I worked at Buc-ee's and it was a great experience and I was a cashier for a couple months, but this is something I want to do and something I'm preparing for, I'm going to college for, and, means something to me. And as being a teacher to people even younger than me, that's kind of weird to say because it's like they expect me to have some things together and to teach them and to lead them. And so it's like I'm now entering into that space of, what y'all were before when I was, a toddler. So walking around and, learning things. And so I'm learning things all the time. But I love sitting with people like y'all and just hearing your thoughts because I have a lot of the same similar thoughts, but y'all have a lot more experience. And so I just love to sit and listen. And
Yeah, man.
It's fun to hear y'all ask me some things because there's, I'm living in this generation of, this is like subs and streams and like that's just my life. And so like people donate subs and they make money just by playing video games. Like that's just, the way it is. So.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, part of what locked me in was just the curiosity. I'm like, hang on. This police officer on this video game pulled this person over. Why don't they just run? Why don't they just take out? Why are they sitting there talking to this police officer like this is real life? I couldn't believe it. I didn't understand. But the more I know, the more I understand. But I love talking to people like you, man. Talking to people in my classroom. Some of my classroom kids and just their input on things that we do have helped me so much. That's what put us on YouTube. Because they were like, hey, even if you don't have video, if you would make this a YouTube video where I could sit and just read subtitles, I'd watch it. And they've been true to their word, to this point. And that would have never made sense to me.
Yeah.
It never would have made sense to me. So it's valuable for us to talk to people like you and get to hang out with you.
And even as a podcast, I mean, this is relatively, newer.
Yeah.
People just get their conversations and put them out for other people to hear.
Yeah.
So another part of the internet that's just kind of cool for other people to listen in. So
yeah, man.
Y'all grow your following, and I've listened to every episode. And like when I drive home, when I go to work, that kind of stuff, I listen, and it's good.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man.
Old Tennessee Tech, wings up.
Wings up.
Speaking of, let's give a shout out to the Walker Valley chess team who just won the region tournament and will be headed to Tennessee Tech for the state tournament at the end of the
There we go.
So, Everest, good job, buddy. I know you're a part of that today.
Oh, yeah. Everest. Love that guy.
Yeah.
He's a big listener.
All right. Well,
anything else, Paul? We wrapping this up?
Yeah. We're going to go watch Isaac play some basketball.
All right, people. Thank you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things. We appreciate you listening again, and we will see you next time.
Seth, thanks again, buddy.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Seth. Man, that's downright mindful. You've been listening to Downright Mindful with your hosts, Matt Paris and Paul Salzville. Produced by Josh Morris. Intro and outro production by Derek Kinsey. You can find us wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.